Hi, my name is Melissa Moore and I'm here to share with you a lesson plan using your Lumens Ladibug document camera. The lesson plan is going to be about fractured tales versus fairy tales. Now, I would use this lesson normally with grades 3rd through 5. You can use it with K through 2, but you would not do as much activities with it as we're going to do today. The apps that you're going to, Hi, my name is Melissa Moore and I'm here to share with you a lesson plan using your Ladibug document camera. The lesson plan is fractured tales versus fairy tales, and the grade that you should use it with is 3rd through 5th. Now you can use it with kindergarten through 2nd grade, but you will not be able to do the activities that we're going to go through today. What you're going to need is your Lumens Ladibug document camera, a copy of The True Story of the Three Little Pigs by John Sieska, and you're going to need your LCD projector and your interactive whiteboard or screen. If you use an interactive whiteboard, all Lumens Ladibug document cameras interact with all interactive whiteboards. So keep that in mind, because there's a lot of things you can do when you are using an interactive whiteboard, like having students come up to the board, which I'll go over in a moment as well. Now, to begin your lesson, you're going to always want to build background knowledge with your students. You're going to ask them if they've ever read any fairy tales and which ones have they read lately. Now, you can also ask them to give you examples of fairy tales. You can have them tell you what makes up a fairy tale, and just let them go around the room and find out eventually what a fairy tale is. Then what you're going to do is ask them if someone has a good definition of a fairy tale. And that you're going to then use your Venn diagram. Where'd it go? Oh, of course I lost it. You're going to put your Venn diagram up, and you can zoom in. And as you can see, it autofocuses by itself. You can push the 2 white buttons on the top, and it then will do that for you, autofocus, but you can zoom in. You can put fairy tales and fractured tales. And they're going to wonder what fractured tales are, but you want to go over what fairy tales are first, so put all the characteristics here of a fairy tale. Then you're going to ask them if they know what a fractured tale is. And many of them are not going to know what that is, so you're going to have to tell them. And then you're going to give them characteristics of a fractured tale. Once you have both sides completed, then you will be able to put what they share in common in the middle. Now, if you have an interactive whiteboard, you can write up here on your board, or even have students come up to your board and write on them. Or you can write down here on your actual paper underneath the document camera. So either way, whatever is better for you. A lot of times if you don't have an interactive whiteboard, the teacher feels more comfortable writing what the students say here, and they see their answers up on the board. After you've gone over some of the definitions that we talked about, like fairy tale and fractured tale, we're going to want to go over the vocabulary words for this lesson, which is fairy tale, character, plot, setting, and point of view. Now, with older students, you could possibly just write the word up there and have them come up and write on the board. Or with the younger students, you can do what I've done here. And I can zoom in from my document camera so the whole class can see, or I can do it with a remote. So here are the vocabulary words. And then what you're going to want to do next is go on to your story map and talk about the real story of the Three Little Pigs, the fairy tale that we all know. And that's where the story map comes in to play. And then you're going to ask them who are the main characters of the Three Little Pigs, the setting, the problem, any supporting characters, the solution. Because you've already gone over the vocabulary, now you can actually talk about the graphic organizer for the story map. So what you're going to do now is you're going to ask them to look at the cover of the Three Little Pigs, the true story of the Three Little Pigs, and make some predictions and see what they think about this book before they even open it. Try to make sure nobody spoils what's going to happen in the book. And then what you're going to do is read the story. Now, if you want to, the Lumens document cameras have an audio and video recording, so you can actually record yourself reading. So you could do that beforehand, and I can do that right now. So what I'm going to do is hit record, which is right on my, see, it hits, oh, it says image full, so I guess we won't be able to do that. And I have some images up there already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit delete and delete myself there and delete up here, which is really easy to do. As you can see, it's very easy to delete images off of your computer or movie files. I'm going to go back to source and go back to my story. So what you're going to do is I want you to listen to what's going to happen here. Got my speaker on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to record myself reading the story. So here's record. Everybody knows the story of the 3 little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. Now, of course, it would be easier if you did that with your remote so your shadow doesn't come through. And what I'm going to do now is have you listen to that. So I'm going to hit my source button, real easy, and there it is. Everybody knows the story of the 3 little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. Now, as you can see, that was pretty easy to do. Just record. I have a tiny little speaker here. It's an iHome speaker plugged in to the audio source right there, and you can record yourself, and you can do this beforehand if you'd like. So hit source, and you're back to where you were at. And of course, you can record the whole book. Just make sure you have room on your document camera beforehand. Okay. Now that we've read the fractured tail, what you're going to ask the class to do is review the diagram, the Venn diagram, one more time. So whatever you've written up there, you're going to talk about what you've written for fractured tails and fairy tales. And then you're going to ask the students if they ever had a chance to write their own fractured tale, what would they do? And let them have a discussion about what they would do. How would they make their fairy tale fractured and funny for the audience? Now, I would model something that I would do. I would tell them I would change the point of view of the fairy tale to add funny elements. Maybe tell a story from one of the 7 dwarfs' point of view in the Snow White story, or even Rapunzel's point of view as she is stuck up in her castle. So there are so many things you can do. Even to extend the learning, you can have them write a one-page story of a fractured tale that they made up. Just take an original fairy tale, fracture it, make it funny, change it from another point of view, and then they could share it with the class. And you could even take your Lumens document camera and videotape them just as you were video recording your storybook, and you could post that to a website. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and please look for more.